Good morning, everyone. I'm Mir-Djalali, a book historian and scholar of the transnational history of print, education, and knowledge, and a lecturer at the University of Toronto's Faculty of Information. I warmly welcome you to the first presentation in the second year of the Elahé Omidyar Institute of Iranian Studies Persian Lithographic Printing Seminar. This series continues to explore the rich and multifaceted world of Persian lithography, delving into topics such as specific sites of production, printing techniques, culture, circulation, and global influences. Our aim is to shed new light on the significant area of print history and its broader implications for Persian studies. We are delighted to begin another year of engaging conversations and fresh perspectives on this important subject. This seminar is co-convened by myself, Professor Mohammad Tawakkoli Targhi, and Shabnam Golkhandan. Also, the seminar is co-sponsored by the University of Toronto's Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library, the Encyclopedia Iranica Foundation, Iran-Namag, the Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute, Iranian Studies Students Forum, and the Canadian Society for Iranian and Persian Studies, and we are thankful to all their support. At the outset and before introducing our distinguished guest, I'd like to express our collective gratitude to Canada's Indigenous people and acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of Credit River. Today, this meeting place continues to be the home to many Indigenous people across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live, teach, research, and learn on this ancestral homeland. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Khalilullah Afzali. While I'm sure most people here are already familiar with the magnificent work that Dr. Afzali has done and his contributions to the field, allow me to provide a brief introduction. Khalilullah Afzali is a specialist in Persian literature and manuscript culture. He currently serves as the Islamic Manuscripts Cataloging Librarian at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA Library, where he catalogs and conducts research on Islamic manuscripts. He's the founder director of the Baysanghor Research Institute in Afghanistan, dedicated to the study and preservation of the literary, cultural, and historical heritage of Afghanistan, Central Asia, and Iran. Dr. Afzali's research and teaching focuses on codicology, Sufism, literary history, and Bedel studies. He has published 3 books and dozens of scholarly articles in Persian in both Iran and Afghanistan. With over a decade of experience in editing rare Persian manuscripts, he has made significant contributions to preserving and promoting Persian literary heritage. Before opening the session inviting Dr. Afzali to start his presentation, I should note that today's session is being recorded. If you have any concerns regarding this, we kindly advise you to take that into consideration. After the presentation, we will hold a Q&A session. We warmly encourage you to share your questions in the public chat that you can find on Zoom during or after the presentation. You will also have the option to open your mic and directly ask your question during Q&A from Dr. Afzali. Having said that, please join me in welcoming Dr. Afzali, and we look forward to hearing your presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lanjavi, for your amazing introduction. Greetings, everyone. I'd like to and thank you so much for joining this meeting. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Elahé Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies and our co-conveners, Dr. Tawakkuli, Dr. Ganjavi, and Dr. Shabnam Gulkhandan. It's a pleasure to me to start the series of lithography printing from Afghanistan. Let me share my screen with you. Okay. I'm gonna talk about lithography printing in Afghanistan, about the earliest printing houses in this country. Especially my focus is about the Kabul, and after that about Herat. And also I would like to talk about some samples, some decorations, and some features that the early samples of lithography printings that we had in Afghanistan. In this talk, I will cover, I will start my talk with an introduction about the lithography printing inventing in Germany, and after that some practices that we had in Afghanistan. We have a few and informations about the printing lithography printing press in Afghanistan. I'd like to talk about those information, and after that about some research that some scholars they have talked about the lithography printing works in Afghanistan. And after that, some challenges that all the scholars they are facing on studying the lithography printing in Afghanistan. The main challenge is that we do not have access. There is limited access to the lithography printing in Afghanistan. So some institutions they have started some projects to digitize and catalog the Afghanistan lithography printing works. So I will talk about some of these projects that we have in Afghanistan and also outside the country. And I will talk also about the lithography printing houses in Kabul and Herat, a few of them, because we have lots of printing houses. We had lots of printing houses in different cities like in Kandahar, in Balkh, in Jabal al-Saraj, in Jalalabad. Just I will talk about a few of them from Kabul, and after that in Herat. I have categorized the main content of the lithography printing in Afghanistan. I have divided them to some categories, so I will talk about them, and at the end about some government policies that we had in Afghanistan that it caused some people they didn't want to publish their works in Afghanistan, so they wanted to publish their works in for example in Iran, and also in Central Asia, or lots of them they tried to publish their works in India and Pakistan. We have some research and some books about the history of printing in Afghanistan. For example, the first scholar that he started working about the lithography printing, about the first publication in Afghanistan, he was Ghulam Sarwar Juya. He was a scholar and a writer. So he wrote the first paper about the publication, the first publication, the early publication, and printing houses in Afghanistan in Kabul magazine. In the second year of the Kabul magazine, he wrote a paper about this topic. And after that, Kazem Ahang, he wrote several papers in Ariana magazine, and also he wrote a treatise about the publication in the period of Amir Abdurrahman Khan in 1970. After that, we have Azizuddin Wakili Popalzai. Azizuddin Wakili Popalzai, he wrote a book about the printing houses in Afghanistan. He published that in 2017 after his death. And Rasul Rahin is one of the other scholars that we have in Afghanistan. Rasul Rahin also, he wrote a book about the printing houses in Afghanistan. And the last one, I have realized that a scholar, and maybe an Afghan American scholar, is working on the genesis of print in Afghanistan during the reign of Amir Sher Ali Khan. These are the main scholars that they have wrote, and they have studied about the printing houses and publication and early publication in Afghanistan. But I'm sure there are lots of scholars that they are studying in this field. Next guy is Azizuddin Wakili Popalzai, who has done a great work about printing houses in Afghanistan. He was a top calligrapher in Afghanistan, so you can see the different scripts that he had written as a work, and also he was a historian. He had lots of work about the history of Ahmad Shah Abdali, about Timur Shah, and about Shah Zaman also, and about the history of printing. And he was a great scholar in Afghanistan. This is the book that he wrote about the history of printing and publication in Afghanistan by the name of مختصر تاریخ مطابع و جراید Afghanistan, which means brief history of printing houses and publication in Afghanistan. He published this book, their family published this work after his death in 2017 in Kabul. The studying of lithography printing work in Afghanistan is a little bit more difficult maybe than our neighboring countries, because our scholars and also some other people that they wanted to talk and they want to study this topic, they are facing with limited access to lithography printing work in Afghanistan. For example, inside Afghanistan, due to the decades of war, we do not have libraries that they have lots of lithography printing work from some periods, especially the period of Amir Sher Ali Khan. So we didn't have any one copies of this work in for example, in Kitabkhane Amme or in Kitabkhane Akademi Ulum or National Archive of Afghanistan. So hopefully we have some of this work in some private collections and some libraries abroad, especially in Europe and the United States, and they have started some projects to digitize and catalog these projects, which I will talk about them later. The other issue and problem regarding the lithography printing studies is that we do not have a bibliography of lithography printing in Afghanistan. We have some bibliography that they talk about the printing, the last printing works we have by Moayel Heravi and some other Hussein and Noel. They wrote some work, but they didn't work about the early lithography printing works in Afghanistan. So we really needs to work this topic as a research project. And the other issue there is that we have is that almost all of the research that I read and I study, they are about the history of printing, not about the lithography printing in Afghanistan. So they just work, for example, they just talk about the history of printing houses. So when it has started to work, who run that, who were the technical workers of this printing house, and some other changes. So about those history, those printing houses, but not they didn't talk about the lithography printing works that we had in Afghanistan. So also the other problem is that we have uh, few details about the printing process. They didn't talk about, for example, about the papers, about the binding, about the illustrators, about some technical workers that they were involved in very tiny things. They talk just about the general things of the printing houses. So we do not have information about the detail. We don't know the papers that they were using, and these papers, they were from Russia, they were from India, so they were European papers. So we do not have lots of information. A few scholars like Abdulhay Habibi, they have talked about some of these details, so which I later I talk about them. So the lithography printing, as all of you know, it invented by Alois Senfelder in Germany in 1796. So that was a new technique of printing using the stones, the kind of limestone plates. They were writing by special kind of grease pencil like crayons that we have, and after that they were spreading some nitric acid and waters on that, and so the greasy surface will remain on the stone plates, and after that they will spread some inks, and later they something came up from the up came down onto the stone, and the printing process. We have some printing process in Afghanistan. As I told you, we have some accounts that it talks about the printing process in Kandahar, when Abdullah Habibi, he was the director of the Tulu Afghan, editor-in-chief of Tulu Afghan. He talked about a printing press that he was working in Kandahar. So the main difference that it has with the printing press that we had in Germany, Abdullah Habibi is telling that we had some calligrapher that they were writing at first on the papers, and after that we were flip the papers onto the stone onto the stone, and after that we will edit that, and the process of the printing will make he mentioned the name of some calligrapher that they were helping with him, and he told that that machine or printing press that he was using on that time, it needs three people that he was involved, and also he had two colleagues that they were helping him regarding the printing works. So the lithograph printing in Afghanistan, it started later than Iran, as Iran and also in India, two neighbors that Afghanistan had on that time. As you know, the first work that we have in India, it has published in 1824 in Calcutta, and after that we have lots of work in different cities like Banaras, Delhi, and also Bombay, Lahore, Lucknow. And also in Iran, it has started in 1834 by a Quran written by Muhammad Hussein Tabrizi. And after that, we have lots of other lithograph publications in Tehran, Isfahan, Mashhad. But in Central Asia, they have started lithograph printing after Afghanistan. After Afghanistan, so the first work that we have in Turkey Jogatai language, we have in 1874, that's in Khive, and after that we have lots of works in Bukhara and some other cities of the Central Asia. So, for example, I had a research about beadle. They just published 34 works about beadle in Tashkent and Bukhara and Samarkand and these cities. So Afghanistan has has joined this movement after India and Iran, but sooner and early than Central Asia. These are the two earliest work of lithograph printing in Afghanistan. One is Kitab Qawaid Risale, that they have published this work in Majmaʿ Mustafāwī. We do not have the exact date of production of this work. So the range of that, it was in the second period of the second period that Amir Sher Ali Khan was in the power. And also the other one is Majmaʿ al-Baḥrayn. It was also printed in the Majmaʿ Shams al-Nahār, which some scholars they believe that Majmaʿ Shams al-Nahār is another name for the Majmaʿ Mustafāwī. Unfortunately, we do not have lots of people that they have written and they have worked about the lithography printing in Afghanistan. They haven't seen these two works by their eyes. So they have heard about these two works, and also in private collections in the United States, I couldn't find any copies from these two works. So these are the first two works of lithograph printing in Afghanistan, and we do not have good pictures from them, unfortunately. But hopefully, some institutions, they have started some projects to digitize and catalog the Afghanistan lithographs, including the biggest project is from the Afghanistan by the name of Afghanistan Digital Library. It's owned by New York University Libraries. They have digitized less than 400 different copies of a lithograph printing of Afghanistan, and they have cataloged them. And all the scholars, they have access, and you may know this website, and you may use this website. And this project, it has two phases. And the first phases, they have used the private some private collections, and also from the holdings of New York University and the British Library in 2005. The second phase of the this project started in 2006, I think, and they trained some staff at the National Archive of Afghanistan to how to conserve and digitize and catalog the materials in that we have and hold inside Afghanistan. And also, a Library of Congress, they have digitized dozens of Afghan lithographs that I have used some of them in my research, and all the people, they have access to this materials. The other project is owned by Afghanistan Center at Kabul University, which founded at the campus of Kabul University by Nancy Hatch Dupree in 2013. They have a catalog, and also they have digitized some of the lithograph printing of Afghanistan and some periodicals, and they have different website and scholars they can use from archive.af and Afghan data and some other websites. The biggest physical collections of the Afghan lithographs, and also some later publication that we have, that's in University of Nebraska. We have a library that it has more than 20,000 titles about Afghanistan that I believe inside Afghanistan, maybe we do not have a library with this variety and richness that we have in United States. Lithography printing houses in Afghanistan, you see the Bala Hisar Kabul, which was the location of the first lithograph printing houses in Afghanistan. This is the picture of Amir Sher Ali Khan, who was the one that in his period that we have the first printing house in Kabul. So he Majmaʿ Mustafāwī, we have Majmaʿ Mustafāwī in the period of Amir Sher Ali Khan. Amir Sher Ali Khan bought two lithograph presses from India with its technical workers in 1869. So he located them in the Bala Hisar, a fort that we have in Kabul. That was the location of the Amir Sher Ali Khan. Soon, Majmaʿ Mustafāwī, it changed its name to Murtazawi, because at the same time we had another Majmaʿ Mustafāwī in India, so they just wanted to distinguish their works from the works that we had in India. This Majmaʿ, it has also some other name like Majmaʿ Shams al-Nahār, Majmaʿ Shahi. Some people, they say these are the same, these are all goes to one Majmaʿ or printing house, but some people say there are three or two other printing house at the same time, or so the scholar they say different words about this thing. This Majmaʿ or printing house, it operated 9 years, and it destroyed by the British Army in 1878. And lots of the work and publications that we had in this printing house, they have burnt and they have looted. So that's why that's the main reason that we do not have some works from, and a few items from this period and from this Majmaʿ we have all around the world in private collection. Some of the technical workers of this Majmaʿ, they were Mirza Abdul Ali and Qazi Muhammad Ishaq. They were coming from India. And some works that printed in this Majmaʿ, we have the Shams al-Nahār periodicals and Kitab Qawaid al-Risalah, Majmaʿ al-Baḥrayn, Tuhfat al-Ulama, حجت قویه در ابطال عقاید وهابیه, or some works from this Majmaʿ. Hopefully we have the last two items in Library of Congress website. Shams al-Nahār Kabul, it was the first periodical that we had in Kabul. The first issue was published in Shawwal 20th, 1292 in Hijri calendar, and November 1980-75. So it was published for about 2 years and 48 issues. Initially published weekly, and later every 16 days, and after that we had monthly this periodicals. It was published at first at Murtazawi by Murtazawi Matbaa or printing house, and after that in Shams al-Nahār printing house. It has 16 pages. In the front page, as you can see, we have two lions with swords and in one hand and Shams al-Nahār logo in another hand. It was these two lions. They have bordered by 4 lines of poetries of Rumi, as you can see in this picture. So Amir Sher Ali Khan was very interested in lions because his name was Sher Ali, and so that's why we have the Sher or lion in his stamps and in his publication on that time. This is the stamp of Chaparkhane Dar Sultanate Kabul or post office that we had on that time. That inside the stamp you can see the head of the lion. This is the picture of the first page of Tuhfatul Ulama that we had by the author is Abdul Qadir Khan in 1875. Overall, from the period of Amir Sher Ali Khan, I have identified four titles from this period. But after that, we have the period of Amir Abdurrahman Khan. In this period, he has created the Matbaʿ Sangi Machine Khane, which it has some other name, Matbaʿ Sarkari Shahr Kabul, Matbaʿ Dar Sultanate Kabul. He bought Jogatai press, lithographic press from Delhi in 1885, and they shifted the location of the Matba'a from the Balahisar to Machine Khane Kabul. It was located by the Kabul River inside the city. It was run by Abdul Razak Beg Choghatai and his son, that they were the owner of the Matba'a Choghatai in Delhi. When he bought the Matba'a, he asked the owners and the technical workers to come with the printing presses, lithographic presses to Afghanistan. And it has some other Indian staff like Afzal Ali Dehlavi, Abrar Ali Dehlavi, and they have published lots of works in this matbah like Taj al-Tawarikh, Diwan Aish Durrani, Diwan al-Rahmat Badakhshani. Approximately about 40 titles we have from this period, from the period of Amir Abdurrahman Khan in Kabul. We have some code of conduct, we have some regulation, for example, Ta'lim Namaha or Nizam Nama Ta'lim Nama Khayyati. We have this work from this period of Amir Abdurrahman Khan. This is the picture of Matba'a Machine Khane, which is next to or by the Kabul River. That was made by Amir Sher Ali Khan in 1879. It was basically it was the factories of weapons, shoes, fabrics, and national mint of Kabul, and they brought the printing houses also in this factories in this location. These are some works that we have that they have published in the Matba'a Machine Khane. This is Asas al-Quzzat by Ahmad Jan Khan, dated 1885 in Matba'a Dar Sultanate Kabul. You can see the Khatame tab or colophon for this one. This is another work by Amadan Name Saneh 1315, and the details, you can see the decoration and some other works. So at this time also we have some works that they are attributed to Amir Abdurrahman Khan. We have 4 works by the name of Panname, Dunyauddin, Asayeh Namche, Taj al-Tawarikh, and Risale Mau'ize. Some people they say they are just attributed and they are not written by Amir Abdurrahman Khan because he was not illiterate very well to write the books. Some other scholars, they have written this work, or they have helped him regarding writing of these titles and works. After Abdurrahman Khan, we had the period of Amir Habibullah Khan, and after that Amir Amanullah Khan. In this period, we have hundreds of lithograph printing in Afghanistan, and hopefully lots of them. We have this project that I told you before. They have digitized them, and we have access to those items and materials. Also, in the period of Habibullah Khan, and also the period of Amanullah Khan, we have some other printing houses or matba'as in Kabul, like Matba'a Wazarat Ma'arif, Matba'a دار تحریرات مجلس عالی وزرا، مطبعه وزارت مالیه، مطبعه شرکت رفیق which it was a private مطبعه، مطبعه سنگی which is also another name for مطبعه ماشینخانه. Also we had مطبعه عنایت. We have some more private printing houses in Kabul, and also after that in Herat and Kandahar and some other cities of Afghanistan. So the physical description of the works that, especially in the period of Amir Sher Ali Khan and Amir Abdurrahman Khan. So as I realized, almost all of the work they have written in Nastaliq script. Just some titles of the work that they are in Naskh, and we do not have, as I told you before, we do not have information about the paper of the work. Likely they are Indian paper or they are European papers, and dimensions are various. We have a small work. We have also some big works. The binding, few items remains with the original binding. I realize that some of these binding, they are paper binding, and they are paginated. We have foliation in Arabic, Hindic numerals, and also they have some catchwords in this printing works and publication. I would like to talk about the decorations of these works. For example, the title page of these works, starting from the period of Abdurrahman Khan, they have Bismillah that started at the top of the page, and after that we have in some of the work we have mentioning the king's name. And they wrote by the order of this king, by the order of Abdurrahman Khan. We have published this work, and sometimes we have the name of the printing house, number of copies, date of printing, price, some Quranic verses and hadith, some Arabic proverbs, and some frame borders. We have in this publication that they have taken these decoration and items from India. We can see lots of these things in India. Later in the period of Amir Habibullah Khan and period of Amanullah Khan, they got very basic, and just we have some information and no decoration and image. So and also we can't see any we do not have image of the living things like human being and animals in these works. Second page of the some of these work that I have collected for you. They have some decoration. They have headpieces, and sometimes we have a state emblem of Afghanistan, especially in the period of Amir Amanullah Khan. We have this one, and some floral patterns you can see, and geometrical pattern you can see in some of the headpieces that we have in some of our publication in Afghanistan. For the last page, usually we had colophons. They were writing date of printing, and also name of printing house and name of scribes. and that was a tradition that they were learning from the Islamic manuscript that we have, especially for the second one. And for we have Khatimatul Tab without any decoration, without any floral pattern. They wrote about the details of the work, the time and the date of production and the name of scribes. When we brought the printing lithograph printing process from Afghanistan, so we brought some words and some terms with them in Afghanistan. So for the manuscript, for the Islamic manuscript, we have some terms that they are different from Iran. For example, in Iran, we call nuskhe khatti, but we call in Afghanistan nuskhe qalami. The term nuskhe qalami, we taken this from India. And also, for example, for illuminated pages in Afghanistan, people and scholars, they call that gold. This manuscript, it has gold, but in Iran, it has some other term for that. Muzahab has some other words for that. Like this, we have the words, the term tahwildar and jamu qaid and catalog, which means catalog. We have taken these all from India. This happened also when we brought the printing process from India. So at this time, we have the word Chahapakhane. We had this word and compound in our first publication. After that, we had an evolution for this word. After that, they called that Chahapakhane, and after that, they removed the he, and after we have the word chopkhane, and also we have the word copy navis. Copy navis is called for the guy that the scribe, the name of it, the scribe. Chahabakhane and copy navis. So I brought some pictures for the first one. We have the Chahabakhane Sangi. Just the second one, Chahabkhane, and later we have the word chopkhane. At this time, we have also some printing houses that they were owned by Afghan people, but they were not located inside Afghanistan. For example, we had printing house in Karachi, Matba'a Faiz Muhammadi, that we published the Kulliyat Sardar Ghulam Muhammad Terzi in this printing house, and also we had in Lahore and Bombay, which we published Kulliyat Bidel and Tarikh Sultani. The Bombay one, it was not owned by Afghans, but they had very good relations with the owner of this printing house. Due to the situation in Afghanistan, so there were some restrictions in the publication of works. So, for example, we were facing lack of religious freedom in Afghanistan. We do not have any publication from the Shia people and from the Ismailiya people, from the Hindu people, from the Jewish people of Afghanistan. So they were forced to publish. If they had something, they had to publish their works in Iran or, for example, or India. I want to mention, for example, Riazi Heravi. He was a Shia scholar and writer of Herat, so he published his work in Mashhad. We have a lithography printing of his work in Mashhad. Or Mirza Sher Ahmad Jalalabadi. He was a poet. He was Malik al-Shu'ara in Afghanistan, but he had some problems at the end with the government. So he forced to publish his work in Peshawar and Lahore. Not even one work of Mirza Sher Ahmad we do not have inside Afghanistan. So we had the lack of freedom of speech. So there is no any work that they can talk about the government, about the policies, about this work. Also, we were facing they were not interested to the works of contemporaries, people, the scholars that they had some work. They just wanted to publish the early works from the, for example, we had Yusuf Zulaykha, we have Anwar Suhaili, and some other work from the 15th century, from the 16th century, from this period. And the other issue that we had on that time, that was the shortage of the materials and papers and ink and this kind of printing. So if you wanted to publish your work, you should wait into the line for several years. That's why some of the scholars, they wanted to publish them in India and after that in Iran, so they can receive their works very soon, comparing to Afghanistan. That is one of the periodicals by the name of Jaride Haqiqat. By the editor of this work was Burhanuddin Kushkaki in Kabul. It was published in Kabul for, I think, for about 3 years. Herat lithograph printing houses. In 2019, hopefully, I have organized a talk about the Herat lithograph printing houses in Baysanur Research Institute in Herat. We have collected on that time some of the works, some of the lithograph printing works in Herat, and we had a showcase of these works in the institute, and I have used those information in this talk for you. The first lithograph publication that we had in Herat was the Ittifaq Islam newspaper, that it was published in Matba'a Herat. So the first printing house that we had in Herat was Matba'a Herat, and it was run, and the first director of Matba'a Herat was Abdullah Qane. He was the director of this matba'a for 3 times, and it was started to work in August 23, 1920, and it worked at the same place until September 1928. You can see the front page of one of the Ittifaq Islam newspapers. These are the people that they were the directors of Ittifaq Islam and Matba'a Ittifaq Islam is Sarwar Juya. You can see the left one. After that, we have Salahuddin Saljuqi, Munshi Abdul Karim Ahrari, and Abdullah Qani. At the time that Salahuddin Saljuqi was the director of and editor of the Ittifaq Islam, he changed the name of Ittifaq Islam to Faryad degree, which he wrote that doesn't make any sense, that Ittifaq Islam, what does it mean? So he changed the name to Faryad. He was the director of education in Herat. He published the first issue with this title in November 1st, 1922. He used this line from Amir Khusro Dehlavi: ناله را هر چند میخواهم که پنهان برکشم، سینه میگوید که من تنگ آمدم فریاد کن. He had a critical views to his period. So he wrote lots of papers and lots of articles in this Faryad about the situation, targeting the scholars and some religious people at his time, that they won't let him to go through the modern education in Herat on that time. So this and the second matba'a or printing house that we have in Herat is Matba'a Fakhriye. Matba'a Fakhriye was owned by Fakhruddin Khan Saljuqi. He was from the Saljuqi family in Herat, The location of this matba'a was in the south of the Charbagh Herat, near the Herat Mosque or Masjid Jame. Abdul Alim Khan, son of the governor of Herat, was helping him regarding the publication of some of these work. And this is the picture of Fakhruddin Khan Seljuqi, who owned the Matba'a Fakhriye. Tarikh Futuhat Islamiyya in two volumes are the works from the Matba'a Fakhriye Seljuqi. This is a work, this is a translation by 9 scholars of Herat, including Salahuddin Seljuqi. They have translated this work of Sayyid Ahmad ibn Sayyid Zaini Dahlan. And you can see the left one is Jald Awal, or first volume, and the right one is the second volume of this title. The other work is Asar Herat by Khalilullah Khalili. It has published in 3 volumes in Matba'a Fakhriya in 1930 and 1931. So the main content of the lithography works in Afghanistan, most of the work, they are religious works and jurisprudential works based on the Sunni Hanafi school of thought. Most of the work, they are religious work. After that, the main category are code of conduct, some regulation, instructions, and laws that especially we had these works at the time of the period of Amir Habibullah Khan and Amir Amanullah Khan. We have some textbooks for the school, Madrasa Habibiyya, and some other school. They have published these works. And after that, we have literary works, including Yusuf Zulaykha and Anwar Suhaili. We have Diwan Aisha Durrani. We have Diwan Rahmat Badakhshi, and some literary works. This is another main category or main content of lithograph printing in Afghanistan. And also we have some history works like Taj al-Tawarikh and some other works that I told you before, and some geography works. As I talk about this thing, so the scholars, they are facing with limited access to lithographic works in Afghanistan, but hopefully some institutions, they have run some projects to give more access to these rare copies of lithographic printing of Afghanistan, including a project from New York University libraries. We had the lithography printing of Afghanistan in the period of 4 emirs and kings of Afghanistan. It started and with the period of Amir Sher Ali Khan, and after that with about 4 titles we know them. But after that, Amir Abdurrahman Khan with approximately 40 titles, and after that we have Amir Habibullah Khan, and at the end Amir Amanullah Khan. Among the categories that we have for the lithographic works in Afghanistan, most of the work, they are Islamic Sunni works based off the Hanafi school of thoughts. And the most important feature of the decorations of this work, they do not have any image. But for example, in Iran and India, you can see lots of image and lots of illustrations. But in Afghanistan, work based off the religious thoughts that they had. So it was not, they were thinking it was not allowed to bring living things. Also, right now, the Taliban, they have the same thought, and they are making pressures to the media that don't filming and videoing the living things. This is the issue that right now also Afghanistan is facing with this one. And we had some restriction policies at that time, and also some shortage of facilities and some materials, including papers and some other material that it caused some scholars from Afghanistan to publish their works outside Afghanistan, especially in India, in cities like Karachi and Peshawar and Lahore. So the main thing that I have realized that we really need to work on Afghanistan lithography printing work. We have to make a bibliography of this work, so we can have the list of the work that we have published in this topic, and we should catalog them, we should digitize them, and we should talk about the decoration and some features that they have, that hopefully now some project has started, and people they may have access to this rare copies of lithography works of Afghanistan. Thank you so much for joining, for listening to my talk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Afzali, for this very rich, informative, descriptive, and analytical presentation. I'm sure that other people like me learned a lot from all the work that you, the research that you shared with us, also around the reflections you had on the challenges that anyone who wants to study lithography in Afghanistan faces, and also your visions for how we can chart a trajectory to resolve those issues. Having said that, I welcome anyone in the audience to open their mics to ask questions from Dr. Afzali on any aspect of the presentation. And Professor Tawakkoli, also, if you have any questions, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Afzali, for your amazing and highly informative presentation. The question that I have is that whether you have been able to gather any information about the dissemination, the number of copies published, and how widely were the works published in Afghanistan disseminated?
Unfortunately, we do not have the exact number of the lithograph publication in Afghanistan. Just in some of the papers that I read some numbers. For example, they told in the period of Abdurrahman Khan we have around 40 titles, but now after 4 years, 50 years that after that paper, now we have more than that 40 titles paper. That's the thing that we should really focus on. This one we should catalog. We should have a bibliography of the lithography printings of Afghanistan. And unfortunately, they didn't have divided the periods of these amirs, and we do not have any information, a very exact and very accurate number of the works. So we really need to work about this topic.
We will be very glad to collaborate with you and identify all the Afghan published.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Just another follow-up question. Do you have any information about the kind of papers that they were using and whether those papers were produced in Afghanistan?
No, just in this day that I've been busy with this research. Just I saw Abdulhay Habibi. He had some accounts and some reports about the printing presses in Afghanistan, and he just told that we were using this paper. So they didn't go through the details about the paper, but I think they were bringing this papers from India, and at that time in India they were also using the European paper and some of the Indian paper. I haven't had access by myself to those lithograph printing, so I cannot say anything about the paper. But maybe in the future, if I work more and have access physically to that materials, I can talk about that.
One guess that I have, usually printing presses that are close to river, they may also have a paper making mill. Looking into that could be revealing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I believe they are.
And there was the press that you showed that it was close to a river. I didn't write it down, the name of the press. That was
Matbaʿ Mashine Khane.
For example, it would be one place that one could explore to see whether they produce paper, and particularly if they call it Mashine Khane, maybe the Mashine Khane was also for production of.
No. At Mashine Khane, we didn't have a factory for making papers. The Mashine Khane was for weapons, for shoes, for mint, national mint of Afghanistan, and Amir Sher Ali Khan has made and created Mashine Khane. At just one part of Mashine Khane, they installed the printing presses. So we do not have just in the. I have some report that, for example, in 15th century we had some paper from Herat, but that's what. Just in a few works they have used paper in Herat in 15th century, but except this, so we didn't have any paper making, or I haven't read about that we have we produce or we make paper in Afghanistan. I do not have information about this.
Thank you.
Thanks. We have one question in the chat, and then I can see two hands are up. So Dagmar has asked, as a follow-up, do we have any research on paper production before lithography?
Before lithography, we do not have any publication or research in Afghanistan. So Azizuddin Wakili, that he has written a book, he has started his research from the period of Amir Sher Ali Khan and from the Shams al-Nahār newspaper. And some people, they say during the time that Sayyid Jamaluddin was in Kabul, he was running another periodicals in Kabul, but no one has seen that periodical. So it started from the Shams al-Nahār and the period of Amir Sher Ali Khan, and with the lithographic printing houses of Kabul in Balahisar with Majmaʿ Mustafāwī. Majmaʿ Mustafāwī is the first printing house in Afghanistan.
Thank you so much. But may I ask Dr. Nejati, you may open your mic and ask questions directly.
Thank you, Dr. Ganjavi. Can you hear me okay? Is my audio coming through?
Yes, very well. Yes.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Afzali, very interesting talk. So thank you so much for all the preparation that you put into it. I just had a question regarding, some of the challenges that you had mentioned. I think one of the major challenges for historians, researchers of Afghanistan is that many of the printed works, the historical works, they tend to be fixated, as you mentioned, on members of the government. And there's also this Kabul centricism, right? I think one scholar recently mentioned that the history of Afghanistan in many cases is, in fact, the history of Kabul. So it was a breath of fresh air to learn from you about lithography in places outside of Kabul, places like Herat especially. That was fantastic. But I noted in your talk, you mentioned very briefly in passing some of the lithography that was printed in Kandahar, which of course was the former capital of Afghanistan. Do you know of any surviving works that were printed in Kandahar and maybe some of the other major cities? I'm thinking of places like Balkh or Mazar-e-Sharif, which is close to Turkestan. I'm just wondering, was there any printing or lithograph activity that you're familiar with?
I believe there are a few. Thank you so much, Dr. Najati. Yes, I believe there are some work from Jabal al-Siraj. I'm sure that we have some work from Jabal al-Siraj, Majmaʿ, and also from Balkh and from Jalalabad. And from Kandahar. From Kandahar, we have the Tulu Afghan. Tulu Afghan is the periodicals that Abdullah Habibi was the editor-in-chief of that journal, and we have hopefully a few issues of Tulu Afghan. But comparing to the works that we had in Kabul, there are few items. But from Kandahar, we have more items than Herat. For example, in Herat, we have just identified the Tarikh Futuhat Islamiyya and Asar Herat in Matba'i Fakhriya Saljuqi. And before that, we have the typography printing house in Herat. Overall, maybe from that period of Herat, maybe we have around 10 titles. But the printing houses in Herat and also the modern school in Herat, they have created after Kandahar, after Jalalabad. So Kandahar was very important for the government, and at first they wanted to help Kandahar and other cities. So Herat was later than Kandahar. So hopefully we have some items from Kandahar. They are more than Herat. The surviving items that we have from Kandahar, they are more than Herat.
Great, thank you so much. And I'll be very interested to learn about future publications on some of these activities, especially the lithography outside of Kabul. But thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Najati. And please, Arzu Siddiqui, you may open your mic and ask the question.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Afzali, for the informative presentation. So I just noticed during your presentation that you mentioned that ACQ was founded in 2013. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to add maybe the dates are mixed up. So ACQ was established in 1989, but they just moved to their current building, which is beside the Maqbara Sayyid Jamaluddin Afghan in March 2013. Maybe the dates are just mixed up. And then beside that, as a librarian who works on the Persian materials and Afghanistan and the region, is there any associations that the librarians who work on the Persian materials or on Afghanistan or like the region that you would suggest that these librarians should be part of? I'm not talking about like the ALA or like the other associations related to the library, which are like South Asian associations or like Middle East, something specifically related to Afghanistan or Persian or like this, any association that you have information about that? And would you mind like giving a little bit more information about your research institution that you have in Afghanistan? Is it like open now or like what are they working on? Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Siddiqui. Yes, Nancy and also her husband, they were involved in Afghanistan. Her husband, he was a diplomat in Kabul, and they started writing about the history and the literature of Afghanistan. And later, during the Soviet invasion, they were in Pakistan and they were helping refugees in Peshawar and Islamabad. So they were owned and they were directing an institute by the name of Akbar in Peshawar. And the Akbar, they have created and founded this an institute in Peshawar in 1983. You are right. That institute was Akbar, but not ACKU. The ACKU, they have launched and founded the ACKU with the financial fund of the president of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani, in 2013. As I read in their website, they wrote this one. And regarding your second question about the institution, I don't know any other institution. So we have, for example, we have Academy of Sciences, we have University of Kabul, we have some other universities, but they do not have any, as I know, they do not have any project to digitize, and they do not have some facilities to do this work. So I don't know any other projects that, except we have an institutions from Ismaili people by the name of Nasser Khosrow. They are also digitizing some works just about the Nasser Khosrow and some Ismaili Shiite poets and scholars, and they have a huge library in Kabul, and they are operating and now in Kabul. Except Nasser Khosrow, Kitabkhane Nasser Khosrow, and also ACKU, I do not have, I don't know any other institution that they are focusing on digitizing and cataloging and preservation of the periodicals and the publications of Afghanistan. Maybe
I'm just asking about any associations that they have, like any association that librarians has. I mean, like any Persian librarians, any librarians came together and have an association who are working on the Persian materials or like on the Afghanistan materials. Like we have ALA, like we have a lot of South Asian librarian associations, anything related to Afghanistan or like Persian or like Iranian.
No, they do not have any association with other institutions. As I know, they are just working solo and individually with themselves. We do not have this. This is a problem that we have. We do not have any connections, even with the Iranian scholars and some associations that they have for librarians and these topics. And also, for you asked me about the Bilingual Research Institute. Bilingual Research Institute is now it's working in Afghanistan. We are publishing works about history and literature and arts of Afghanistan. So the Taliban and the government, they didn't say anything to us, and we are also obeying the policies that they have. For example, we had some female colleagues. They requested us to that from now on they are not allowed to work in your office. So we accepted that. So we have a library, some students and researchers, they are coming and they are using our materials, and we have a bank of manuscripts that from inside Afghanistan. Whenever we are coming across with a manuscript, we are digitizing them, and we may provide them for the researchers and scholars if they want to use them. And for example, this big picture that I show you from the Futuhat Islamiyya or Asar Herat, they are really difficult, except those items that we have in Library of Congress. So it's really difficult to find the pictures of these materials. For example, Ittifaq Islam or Faryad, you can't find them anywhere. So just we have a few items them in Herat. This is really difficult. So we have cataloged 8 periodicals of Herat magazine, and that was a project. It took 5 years for us. It was a very good resource for the scholars that they want to research about the Herat literature. So hopefully it still works. in Herat.
Yeah, it's a wonderful job. I'm glad you're able to continue doing that even in this situation. But is it open to public? Do you have any websites so people outside of Afghanistan can access to that? If you have, can you please share that?
Yeah, we have a
Thank you.
website. I will write that for you, and you may have access to our journal by the name of Nameh by Sanqor. You may have full access to all of the papers and articles of Nameh by Sanqor and about the news and some papers from different scholars. I will share that with you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Dagmar Riedel, just as a follow-up, wrote about an article published in French, a short 2018 paper by Francis Richard, which might have some information on paper production in Afghanistan, and the link is in the chat for those who might be interested. Lily Sohabi has asked, thank you very much for thank you very much for the information you provided. May I ask if you have ever conducted a comparative study between manuscript and printed versions, and if you had access to any manuscript examples?
Thank you, Ms. Sohrabi. Working with manuscript is my job, and I've been working with manuscript maybe for more than 10 years. And I have written some papers about some interesting manuscript from the region, from Iran, Afghanistan, India, and I have edited some works by comparing different manuscript from one title from one works, but I haven't compared manuscript with the lithograph printing work, because they are different. Yeah, I have focused more on the manuscript works, and I haven't compared them so far, because they are different, and hopefully we have some scholars that they are working on lithographic printing works, and a scholar that they are working on manuscript studies. They are different, and I'm more interested and I'm more working on manuscript studies.
Thank you so much. Dr. Afzali also shared the link to Baysanbar Institute for those who might be interested to check it, and I highly encourage you to do so to get familiar with the inspiring work that they have done there and are continuing to do there. I don't see any other hands on. Okay, yeah, Dr. Tawakkoli.
One last question, and I think Arzu Siddiqi's question for Dr. Afzali seems to me to be a call for establishing a Persian language-specific association of librarians. And I think this seems to be really urgent, particularly at a time of high-speed digitization and collaboration amongst librarians and working and bringing the resources of Persian language material together. For example, recently we were in Uzbekistan and I ran into a number of lithographs published in Bukhara. And it would be good to have scholars working on Persian language in collections in Bukhara, Samarkand, and other places, with people who are working in Afghanistan and India and Iran, but language is specific. Arzu, do I understand you correctly that you're calling for such an association if it doesn't exist?
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking.
Why don't you lead it?
I mean, I'm interested. I would do whatever I can. I worked with the ACQ for 11 years. I'm in preserving Afghanistan's written culture heritage for 11 years there. And now I'm working at the UPenn Libraries, University of Pennsylvania, cataloging their Persian, Pashto, and Urdu materials. But I never was able to find any association to be part of. So like, I'm always happy to be part of if you are like planning to do.
Well, why don't you lead it, and we at the University of Toronto will collaborate and help you, and Dr. Ganjavi will also join hands.
I think we need to talk about this.
All right. Thank you.
I also share that it would be a very important move, and that such an association is very much needed, given all the ways that, with Middle Eastern associations and then South Asian associations, each of them, have, because of the way they have been organized or they are being described, cannot actually be inclusive of all the Persianate word and the ways that it had been historically important in the region and beyond. So yeah, count on me too, and definitely on the Institute. We would be there for creating such an association and supporting it with full force, definitely. Just as a final note, and thank you, Bilal, for sharing the program for the this year's program. This is the second year, as I mentioned, that we are doing this seminar. And for those who are interested, we are pleased to share that the video recording of the first year of Persian lithographic seminar are now available on the YouTube channel of the Elahé Omidyar Institute of Iranian Studies. We are confident that these recordings will be immensely valuable to anyone interested in Persian print culture. And please make use of them for your studies, research, and for pedagogical purposes, and help spread the word widely. And Dr. Khalilullah Afzali's presentation will be also soon added to those. And finally, I can see Dagmar has hands up. Maybe before ending the session, let us also hear from Dagmar. Yes, please.
Forgive me, just very quickly. I'm not a librarian, but there are two Middle East Studies associations for Middle East Studies librarians. So there is MELA in North America, and there's MELCOM in Europe. I mean, it would be interesting to see where that would be useful to actually go to have an inquiry how many people who work with Persian language material are actually in these two associations. I mean, if you want to do your own club on Persian only, it might be useful to sort of get some sort of collaboration going with the people who are already in these two organizations. I mean, as I said, I myself not a librarian, so I'm not exactly sure what happens in Malcolm and MELA, but they are Middle East Studies Association where there are clearly people in there who work with Persian language material and also with other languages of Afghanistan, and of course also with Turkish and Arabic. So there is something out there where Persian is integrated. It may not be at the forefront, but it's out there.
Yeah, MELA has been active for a long time and includes a large number of librarians who also focus and work on Iran, and the structure of universities, particularly in United States and North America. I think Europe also is that a librarian cannot just do one language. They have to do a lot of other languages, and often Persian gets marginalized. And in a sense, in the age of digitization, there may be, and this requires an Arzu as a librarian knows well. I know that Dr. Ganjavi is a member of MELA and needs an inquiry, a critical thinking and critical inquiry, and deciding whether such an association would help. If it would, we will have full support from the Institute of Iranian Studies at the University of Toronto.
And then it was not in opposition to it. I just sort of meant in terms of there is something to start with.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Dagmar. Yes, I'm also involved in MELA as a book review editor and have served on a variety of committees in MELA, and but definitely we would be benefiting also from their experience and trajectory in developing any new possible association.